In order to support your operations in FSCharter, you need to build buildings and you also need agreements. To do this, navigate to your operations cockpit and go to the first lens where you have the airport. If you're already operating out of that airport, you can also make this easier by using the base operations. However, if it's a brand new airport where you've never operated, you'll need to go to the airport lens. In this case, I'm going to start some operations at Birmingham Airport. When you click on the airport, it brings up the dock for the airport details. In here you've got the buildings tab, the agreements, the runways and the frequencies. Clicking on the runways will give you information about what that airport has in terms of runway distance, width, whether it's got lights, and its direction. Clicking on frequencies, you can see the various frequencies available for that airport. If you go to buildings, you can click the green button to construct a new building. You can see that you have passenger services, service centres, and hangars. Passenger services are buildings that allow for last leg automatic completion. What this means is that if you look at the large passenger services building, it has a 50 nautical mile radius around it. Any airport within that 50 nautical mile radius will have their passengers automatically transferred from Birmingham to the final airport, provided that you land with a scheduled service, i.e. route, and not a charter. With a charter, this does not work. In addition, you can generate final legs for charter routes. I will demonstrate this in a different airport. To buy the building, simply click on it, give it a name, and press purchase. Service centres are where you and your partnership can perform maintenance on your aircraft, as well as reconfigure seating and change the tail numbers of the aircraft. The size of the service centre dictates how much floor space there is, and floor space is what is taken up by the aircraft when it is using that building and using those services. You cannot purchase a service centre without having an operations centre at that airport. The final set of buildings are the hangars. You can build micro and small hangars without the need for an operations centre, however larger hangars require an operations centre to be present. The hangars allow the aircraft to be stored, which means that you don't have accelerated maintenance from leaving aircraft outside. Service centres and hangars can both be rented out to the public for use, as well as kept internal for just the partnership or the company. You can hover over any building that's greyed out in the list, and it will tell you what is missing in order for you to build it. The operations centres can be purchased from just underneath the airport name. You can choose the size, and the size dictates what other buildings can be built at that airport. Certain airport sizes can only build certain buildings, whether they are operations centres or the other buildings. This information is all covered inside the documentation in the pages related specifically to buildings and agreements. The final tab to look at is the Agreements tab. In here you will see a list of any agreements that you or your partnership have. You can purchase a new agreement by pressing the green button. There are slots available for domestic in various sizes and international in various sizes. There are also stands available. Slots are required in order for your routes to work. Domestic slots can only be used for domestic flights, i.e. Birmingham inside the UK. International slots are required for international flights. If you have a huge slot and a small aircraft, it can use the huge slot, but the huge aircraft cannot use the small slot. The sizes that each slot allow in terms of footprint are shown if you press the information button. For the small domestic, it's 1,000 square meters. If you have a domestic route and only an international slot at your airport, your domestic route will be unable to be flown because domestic flights require a domestic slot. They cannot use an international slot. Stands are parking locations outside. They are cheaper than hangars, and they do stop accelerated maintenance happening. Every agreement is charged every 40 hours of company clock time. In the case of the small domestic slot, This means you would pay £330.53 every 40 hours of company clock time. To purchase any agreement, click on the agreement itself, provide a name. You cannot change from internal to public for agreements, so once you've provided a name, you press sign and you'll be immediately billed. If you already have operations at an airport, then in the base operations screen, when you click on that airport, the dock will show your own buildings. It will also show your partnership buildings if partners have buildings there as well. In this case, we have a passenger services building, a service centre, and 2 storage buildings. Clicking on the passenger services, because we own the building, we get the option to change the settings, whether we want to share it, and also for the final charter leg we can configure. In here, if I were to put a destination such as EGLL, create job, and decide which company to do it with, then it would automatically create charter legs when I land. This would mean that additional passengers flew on my routes because they know that there's a charter job at the end that will take them to their final destination. The number of destinations available to generate last leg charters is based on the size of the building you build. Service centres operate in a similar way. When you open them, you can choose to use them. C checks are always required in a hangar, D checks as well. Reconfiguration of seats and changing of tail number is also required here. To perform one of these actions, click the Use, select an aircraft that is at the airport currently, and you can perform the check. Performing maintenance checks in your own buildings is currently free. Alternatively, I could reconfigure the seats in the same manner, and here I could choose the seating arrangement that I wanted, and again it would cost me nothing. However, all of these operations do take time. The last building is the storage building. Here I can use the building as well. I currently have this aircraft sitting outside on the tarmac. Pressing this button will move it to the hangar and is now protected from the elements. To see the agreements that you have already signed and the buildings that you already own, navigate to the Finance under the Company menu and navigate to Assets. Here it will show all the aircraft you own as well as all of the buildings you own as well. Under the Recurring tab, you can see all of the agreements you already have, such as slots and stands. You can also see when the next payment is due and how much it will cost you next time.